Hello everybody, welcome back to Let's Play Hearts of Iron 4, The New Order as Iberia. So, as you may be looking, we are currently on the map for political ideologies. And I'm looking at this, and I'm like, are we the only country on Earth that is market liberal? Like, I think so. Like, how do I see this? Country list. We're the only market liberal country on the entire, world. Okay, the PRD has won the elections. And what shall we do? Because we can, our place on the world stage, we can start joining up with like the Americans. We had training detente, trip to Rome, meeting in Ankara. We probably don't want to side ourselves with the Germans. Just a guess on that for right now. Okay, you like us a little bit more, but I think right now, well, let's just reform speech, free market reforms. Let's go with formulating a strategy on government reform. We'll tackle government incompetence. Going back from 5-day focuses to 35-day focuses is going to be it's definitely a little bit of a jump, but it's not that bad. Currently, Iberia is not going through a crisis. I mean, again, this should be exploding sometime soon. I'm not 100% too sure when. Okay, so it looks like the Yemen Arab Republic's going to win over Yemen. After that, I'm not too sure what else we'll really see. I don't know if Israel's going to explode. These areas in Turkey might try to rebel. But again, I think it's like 1970 or 1971 when when everything starts going badly. I think it's like mid-70. But of course, we shall see. Also, like, having somebody else's face here is just like, what's happening? We still do attend a weakened sovereignty, but I mean, our stability's looking good. War support's okay, but again, I don't think we're really going to be going to war with anybody. How? You're 5 years ahead of time? Okay, well, let's not research that then. Let's go for like 1960 tanks. Apparently, all of our tanks are incredibly old. But again, it's not like a big deal. So it looks like you have won your war here. The Dhofar Rebellion probably end up beating Oman, because it's 7 divisions against 8. I mean, the front line's pretty small, but I mean, they take Muscat, then Oman, the Dhofar Rebellion. Like, Iraq, like, can I see what your stability is? You're at 67%, you're at 85%. I don't know if, like, stability actually matters here at all. Unsurprisingly, everybody in Sudan has pretty bad stability. Yeah, they're all like negative 35. At war, no minimum wage. You're at 78. You're at 85. And you're at 55, so we might see. There's been a terrorist attack in Italy. So what are you guys going to be doing? Formulating a strategy. Okay. Music, I'm gonna need you to quiet. Please, I'm... Are you good? It really does go on for a long time. Okay. Formulating a strategy on government reform. You try to step forward to the podium, waiting patiently for the gathered ministers and journalists to quiet down before speaking. The state of the various government institutions that were inherited from the dark era of the Caudillos is in dire need of reform. There will be no capacity to transform the nation into a stable and prosperous union of equals without, and excuse for the metaphor here, he winked almost cheekily while a few laughs were heard in the auditorium, a great flood to uproot the former constitutional mess of debauched unification. The autocratical nature of the old economic and even state policy is best fit for an intolerant hermit nation we once were. We are not listening. Oh, no, we were not listening. We were drawing back into ourselves. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I say no more. He stood back for a moment while again waiting for the applause to subside. Clearly, we will require great expertise for such a task, yet I'm confident our new government is up to the challenge. We are also very fortunate to have amassed a significant amount of ties to experts in various fields, the private sector, who recognize that it is not in their interest to support the recovery. Therefore, do not fret. Children of the great country, the nation of Iberia will stand strong and proud, a rock of liberty in the sea of tyranny. There shall be no hearkening back to the great era once lost. You'll forge your own right now, that those who come after us will imitate for eternity to come. For eternity, huh? Special raise a little bit here, but nothing like too crazy. Advice from a trusted friend. Following what was already an establishment of a keynote speech in Iberian political history, the new president of Iberia, head of the reformist market liberals, has seemingly been hard at work establishing the groundwork for the grandiose promises that he had made. His staffers have really seen Utriz leaving his office, and only a few people coming to visit. One of those, however, being the founder of the religious organization WWII, Josmaria Escravia. The man of God has been rather frequent in his visits, often carrying a large briefcase, overflowing with charts and other various papers. Gila Utriz has made good on his previous statement about consulting private sector experts and helping forming government policies that will move forward towards a greater economic liberalization of the nation. Relying on the Catholic likely proves the president will still play to the traditional base despite his widespread reform plans. I feel like my mind melted when I was reading that statement. I don't know why. Which is like, ew. Okay, so what else can we actually do? Because you're going to be doing this. Forms responsible democracy. We go from registered voting to universal voting. You will, okay, looks like the Boer Republic has won the war down the south. So we'll have public meetings. We'll have censored press. We'll increase military hostility towards the government. Okay, that's a bit scary. Guided by the church. Improve Iberian stability. Instead of being state oppression, well, let's have some segregation. Harmony society. What else do you guys do? GDP growth will increase. Privatization of government assets. We'll have some elite tax exemptions. More development. Expense will increase. Anti-corruption strategy. Political power. We'll find out how successful our efforts have been. Okay, that... Also a little bit foreboding. Is there anything new here? No, this all seems like basically to be the same. Better army professionalism. Yes, sir. Those two words seem to be ultimate lesson in the history of military theory. It is not the quality of guns or weaponry that makes an army, but discipline. Those men who hold until death because of a command will be the ones to claim victory. In a world of absolute war, of brave new weaponry, it seems we often forget about the simple fact. An army cannot function without those two words. Luckily, anti-corruption programs in the army and new boot camps have brought our army one step closer to the ultimate goal of Spartan valor. No longer will our men defect and serve political masters. They will serve the generals and nothing less. Okay, so our army is going to be less garbage. Like, it's been bad this entire time. Actually, I think... Oh, no, it's over here. Attack minus 10%. So this is the effective change. Less training time, more organization, more attack, more defense, more recovery rate. I mean, everything just seems to be better for us. Or maybe it didn't actually work. So it looks like we still have a disorganized federal army, but, you know, what do I know? Okay. So it looks like the Dhofar Rebellion has won. Apparently, Saudi Arabia and Yemen are at war with each other. I don't know when that happened. Who has more troops here? You have 9 against 2 to 4, so yeah, no, the Yemen Arab Republic is definitely going to win. I guess slowly trying to form, like, a united Arab nation. I mean, we'll see how that goes for them. But I think these are like these are the first steps towards the oil crisis that is almost certainly going to be happening sooner rather than later. Okay, what else do we want to research? Technology. Let's go for. I mean, let's keep on improving our armor. Make sure it's like not 100%. Being like 90% garbage is okay. 100% garbage is not really what we want. Okay, Sudan has won. Okay, no, the Baathis have lost. Now it's just against the Republic and the Sudanese Defense Force. Let's restructure federal agencies. Classify transcript training process. And we were to look at the final effect of this reorganization. It appears the regime can cut back about 2% of the sector costs. A short pause as papers are rustling around. More importantly is the effectiveness of the workforce. It's almost like division of labor on steroids. Pushing the public sector workers around like this, finally, can make our policy implication efficient. even in separatist areas. Indeed, indeed. Hard work is a great step on the path of salvation. Never forget the holy message that has been infused into these programs. Of course not. What are you planning? Okay, you're born on the eve of only the first of many unfathomable catastrophes that sees the reigns of the 20th century. Decade is years Madrid. Okay, 50s, German financial crash. What else do you do? I think I have to pause to actually kind of like read this. Quickly work his way up to the service ladder. Okay, so like you have a strong education, graduated in law, and got a doctorate. And he works in the Iberian administration. So I mean, he has like experience doing shit in the past. By the way, Ireland, are you you're third time democratic, but you are currently in the German sphere. Which again is not like I don't want to join up with Germany. Even if their faction is, you know, pretty powerful, all things considered. Joining up with Germany, I think, as a brand new democracy, probably would somewhat undermine us. Just a just a guess there. Okay, so the Italian Empire. I mean, you are now dealing with what? I don't even know what it's called. Italy on its own, but you're dealing with the crisis that happened in Italy in real life in the 70s. What was it called? I don't remember what it was called though. It wasn't just called like the Troubles. Like the Bloody Years or something like that. Either way, there are some troubles going on in Italy. So what are you guys doing now? Complications in the Middle East. This may be the start of the greatest crisis to rock our nation yet. Even more so than World War II, I feel like that'd be a pretty bad crisis for you. China has modernized. Okay. I mean, you're not independent. Like, I know China can go to war with Japan. So they're doing the conference right now. Will you go to war with the Japanese? I mean, Japan seems like they're in the middle of a situation right now. Get the Dali conspiracy. I wonder what's going to happen with them. Okay, so we got restructuring federal agencies. Follow that up with anti-corruption measures. What do you actually do for us? More stability, less it's popular for authoritarian democracy, and a little bit more market liberal support. Classified transcript, restructuring agencies. Your proposal for curtailment of these malign influences greatly influenced me. The party's been quite fanatic about possible opposition towards advancement of our goals, especially in regards to local elections. It's not a move without risk, to be sure, but God willing, shall not fail. These agencies have been nothing but a thorn in the side of affected governments, even partly for their despots. Their effectiveness in local municipalities is problematic. It is your move. Replace them with better funded state groups, or even hand it to a private sector if you understand me. What has to happen shall be done. What is happening? Because I feel like all these little transcripts are, they're leading to something which is scary. You know what I mean? Like this, it seems like they're plotting something, which I don't like. I mean, you'll eventually win your war here. Like, are you backing aside Italy? They're among us. Like, do you plan on doing a side? Watch the border. Shock and awe. Okay. Order 44. Yeah, that's the, that's the one where they go ultra nationalist, right? Yeah. So I'm pretty sure that's like that's like the bad ending for Japan, isn't it? Taibatsu question. Nihon Ascendant. Showa Emperor. Dynamic Harmony. Advisor level 2. Okay, so like what's okay, apparently they defeated Finland. So like what are they doing? Japan. Stability, okay, political power goes down. Weekly stability minus 5%. War support is horrible. Army professionalization minus 0.4. Well, as once the shadows not escalated into a naked open violence in the street, it seems that though the paranoia set in by the Great Conspiracy is finally exploded into open Gekaugo, where the low overcomes the high. The army is now openly untrustworthy and sinking deeper and deeper into insubordination. Violence now reigns in the streets. Even within our own government, there is talks of conspiratorial rot that is killing our government from the inside out. While Japan is already in dire straits, the situation is still salvageable. Resolve to Gekaugo quickly while keeping tensions down is the administration's bet. If not, the situation will get demonstrably worse, and there will be grave consequences. Okay, Japan. China, at this point, I feel like leaving the Japanese sphere is probably going to be the best for you. You can probably get all of China to unite against Japan now that they've kind of openly exploded into open warfare. Yes, you're now the Russian Federative Republic. You've taken a lot of land, and soon you'll probably end up at war with one of these two. I mean, if you actually invade the Central Siberian Federation while they're fighting against the Soviets, you can get like a nice like two-way war going on there. Okay, now the Arabian Federation, or the Arabian Republic has now been formed. They were getting volunteers from the Nazis. Does that mean that you are... Can you still do anything here? I mean, probably. America, are you doing anything about this? Our duties towards the people. Not as far as I can tell. Looks like the AI also decided not to do any of these military things. Which makes sense, because these are all basically garbage. Okay, let's get some judicial reforms next. Formulating anti-corruption strategy. Citizens in Iberia were greeted today with unsettling news. A government probe has discovered that local institutions around the nation were infested with crooked civil servants who were funded by businesses and private interest groups from the previous era. Their goals are still unclear, but their treachery is obvious. Only by chance and skill of the investigators has the scandal been uncovered. Judges and other lawmen have covered for the traitors. Even more menacingly, it seems that this corruption and nepotism was not just restricted to various regions in the Iberia, rather had been made up all the way into the national level. Nationwide people began to march in the streets, protesting against this outrage, calling for the government to intervene. Intervene it shall. But what shall the focus on? The political establishment that has secured and furthered been the crookedness of numerous businessmen who helped fund along the way. Let's focus on the political establishment, because it kind of makes sense that the market liberals probably would not target the businessmen in this situation. How far will we go? With the rampant corruption that's been recently uncovered by the government, investigators, the many options on how to deal with this situation now lie on the table for Utris and his party to consider. The choice been made is not simply one with both sides bringing hefty negatives that will weigh heavily on the shoulders of the administration. This should not be a surprise, however, as the disaster on the scale is likely to reap many positives. Not even when the old seats can be filled with those loyal to the new Iberia. The more benevolent option is to continue monitoring the traitors and try to reform them, only seeking to eliminate those beyond saving and had done the most damage. The effectiveness of this is unclear, sadly. Hence, may harm the long-term goals of the government. Massive wrestling on hand will make it look like the system can be rebuilt. Fashion a more effective state devoid of the taints of the past. You know what? Why not kill everybody? Not kill everybody. You know, arrest all the conspirators. And we have, 1,600 political power. 100 does not change anything I think about doing. Okay, so you've done the conference. So I'm guessing you're kind of going to be staying with political mess, slave of the samurai. You have to pay $1 billion every year. Classify transcripts. Track down on officials. I believe, congratulations are in order. Iberia is doing rather well, isn't she? All according to God's plan. Certainly, by being able to fill those posts, our position is greatly strengthened. Their opposition, both to administration and to organization, was almost like the despot still controlling this nation, bringing about anarchy. From henceforth, Iberia can follow a righteous path. For dialogue becomes quieter, unintelligible to the listener, as a little further on the punishment of the traitors were discussed, but the audio here frequently cuts out. So I'm curious about who's listening into these conversations, right? Because I mean, if usually the way the New Order works, or at least the way it seems to me like it works, is that anything, like if it's talking about like somebody listening in, like at the audio broadcast, that's important. Otherwise, it would just be like a normal dialogue scene, right? So something else is happening behind the scenes here. Protests against sweeping arrest. It was early. The bankers and milkmen were just beginning their craft. Oh, no, the bakers and milkmen were just beginning their craft, while factory workers stifled on to fulfill their arduous duty. For them, this morning proved an unwelcome break in the incessant cycle of monotony. Riot police clad in armor, kitted out with shields and other equipment, would speak of a serious riot. Would spark. Wait, no, that would speak of a serious riot. Began amassing in the main streets of cities all around the peninsula. Even smaller conservative rural towns were not spared from this treatment either. Rather, they seemed to garner the most state attention. Shortly after noon, it became clear why, in many locations that were uncovered, large mobs began to assemble, waving placards and posters crying the government crackdown on conservatives and flagellists, painting them to be one of the political sabotage. Having had time to set up and gain advantage positions, the police were able to control the protest and keep most of the planned marches peaceful. The great strategic victory of the government that even the press praised highly. It is unlikely the protest will continue on for a while longer, yet the Iberian government has acted in the best way possible in response, which surely will strengthen their position among the populace. We lose stability, we lose some more support, but overall, we're still very, very stable, and I'm sure will not break out into civil war anytime soon, fingers crossed. But for right now, I think it's going to be a good time for us to end this episode. So thanks everybody for watching. My name is Ansem. If you enjoyed, put a thumbs up. Not enjoying, throw a thumbs down. If you want to see more, subscribe, and goodbye.